nights that lonely taught me what no one did. Hey there, Nocturnes! Welcome back to another episode of Unplugged. For today, we're going to talk about addiction. So, what is exactly addiction? I'm not going to get from a medical source, but from a comic book. I read this line from a certain villain that addiction is anything that reduces pain. So if you have any go-to source, person, anyone or anything, and that decreases your pain, then maybe your reliance on that source can be considered an addiction. So for this episode, let's consider that a valid definition. To apply that to our use of media, we may be sometimes too dependent on media, digital media to be exact. And if that happens, maybe we're not able to do our responsibilities because we've decided to spend most of our lives on media while we're missing out on the non-media parts of our lives. How do we overcome this then? So here are some ways that I've thought of to limit or maybe eliminate totally the addiction towards media. Okay, number one, schedule digital breaks. I really valued my digital detox. I make it a point that I stop using media at least an hour before I go to bed, like that. It really helps because I've tried it myself, and it helps me get to sleep too because I limit my screen exposure. The light that comes out from your screens can really make it hard for your body to know that it's sleep time if it gets too exposed to the screen. But there are some exceptional cases where I still find it easy to sleep even if I got exposed to the screen a few minutes before bedtime, but it rarely happens. Most of the time, I find it easier to sleep if I don't have any screen exposure within 1 hour before bedtime. So maybe you'd like to give it a try. Aside from 1 hour before bed, maybe throughout the day, intentionally make it a point to stay away from the screen for 15 minutes or 30 minutes in between your work blocks on the computer or social media time at your screens. Maybe that will lessen the screen exposure. Okay, the next tip that I'd give is switch off notifications. Other people I know like to receive notifications when they receive messages. Just by looking at their screens, they prefer to see them. But me, I switched off my Viber, Messenger, Gmail, and other app notifications so that I will not be prompted most of the time to open them, because I realized that even if there are messages sent to my inbox, I noticed that people generally don't notice. I don't reply instantly. Before, I used to be like that. I used to have the compulsion to reply instantly, but later on in life, I noticed that it's something that people won't prioritize after all. So feel free to switch off those notifications so you can have at least some quiet in your lives, and you will know if you really need to switch them on. And one tip, if you want to maintain your channel open for emergency communications, perhaps you can designate, let's say, your cell phone number to be that go-to place for emergency purposes. Maybe you can give it to select people whom you expect to contact you in times of emergency so that you won't need to open your social media handles all the time. And then number three, find alternative sources of information. Aside from digital media, look into the newspapers, talk with your neighbors for any news, etc. Digital media is not the only source of information. And then lastly, if you're looking for means of expression, it's not only your tweets that can do that for you. Try to journal. You know, I encountered sayings that there are studies which claim that journaling is therapeutic because you're in control of what you write, right? No one's going to stop you from, let's say, dropping this cuss word since you're the only audience of your own writing. Not unless someone sneaks into your room and grabs your diary. But it won't happen if you are a good keeper of your secrets. Find alternative ways of expression aside from digital media. In addition to journaling, you can explore other hobbies. Try doing a sport you've always loved but never get to do so, and schedule a trip to a new place, just to get away from the busyness of the metro or wherever you are staying right now. Yeah, speaking of addiction to media or taking a break from media, after this episode, I'll be scheduling one but it will be a weeks long break because I'll allot that for my R&D. Yes, research and development for Nocturnal Sage. I'll be gathering data as to how I can better produce content. Well, content that I know will really serve you. And I'd appreciate it if you'd help me by leaving comments below the videos that you find significant, you want to see follow-ups on. Alright, I love to do that. Just let me know through the comments below, and if you're up to it, join the Nocturne Space. The link is in the description. So see you in the next few weeks, or most weeks, I don't know. As long as I finish my R&D, then I will get back to you. Maybe not in Unplugged, but in a new playlist. So whichever it may be, continue surviving in the dark. From me every time I looked where you wanted, I didn't know you were already sucking from me my every ounce of focus, which I could have directed to the cause I am truly fighting for. So I'm going to press the power button and push your head down. Not minding the surprise, I'm going to leave my chair behind. Together with your face, I'm not looking away from the black.